Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast.
What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. I am joined by Jordan and Seth. Phil is not in the house, so when the cat's away, the mice will play. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about players we aren't drafting. Jordan, you look like you just got off a NCAA 25 bender. Is that true or is that not true?
No, it's been a fun day. I did my first college best ball draft on Underdog today. I did another best ball draft, NFL best ball draft. I bought NCAA 25 today. So play a little bit on there. This is just a fun time of the year. We're getting to August. We're about 9 days out from NFL football on our TVs. We're about 45 days away from actual NFL football being on our TVs. College football in about a month. Like we got best ball drafting. Like this is a fun time. Olympics starts this weekend. So it's a little fun time of the year right here. Gonna be a pretty fun next third month or so.
And Seth, so Jordan's playing NCAA 25. Does that mean you sold him your Xbox?
It is. Jordan came by last night and grabbed my Xbox.
Is he still using your username, or like how did this work?
No,
Are you
I
met
took
the
everything
magic
off.
or what?
No.
You didn't sell him all your Fortnite skins?
No, but it is for sale. So if someone wants to buy it, hit me up. So
okay, so leave a comment in the YouTube. Leave a comment in YouTube comments if you want to buy. Seth, how much are you selling that? Just people want to know. People don't know this, that you're a pretty serious Fortnite gamer.
just because of the rarity. I did put a decent amount of money, but not anything crazy. But the amount of rare stuff I have is probably worth around it's give or take what people think it's worth, right? I guess that's anything, but it's probably worth around to $2,200. So
what's the going rate? What's the entry level to buy your Fortnite account?
I mean, I'm not taking anything less than probably $1,500.
Okay, wow. Yeah, nerd alert, go get your sword and dragon and cape and all that stuff. That's kind of cool, man. Not judging, people, expected fantasy football, all this stuff, yeah, Seth is also recording in his mom's basement. So there's that. Anyways, so yeah, are we allowed to discuss how much Seth charged Jordan for his Xbox or no?
Yeah, it was a cheap price. It was
he gave me a great deal.
Yeah, it's $200.
I would have bought that then sold on eBay, Seth.
Well, I mean, I kept good care of it, and I only had it for I think 2 years, maybe. I don't know. Whenever it came out, maybe 3 years, and good condition. It's honestly I would say it's almost brand new. There's really nothing wrong with it.
So, did Jordan give you the full $200, or are you doing payments with interest? I'm just kind of curious how you're doing this.
$200.
Okay. All right.
We're not talking about Phil here. The guy didn't ask me to Venmo me every month.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That I just felt like I had to ask that because I feel like that's something Phil would have asked. I got to fill in for the guy. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended.
It's true. Someone's got to be stupid, right?
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's what's weird is people come to this pod and they're like, man, Trent, I'm surprised you're the smart guy of the pod. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. You guys take that however you want it. But yeah, so today's episode, we are doing players we do not want to draft. Got some drama going on not drama, but players are reporting to camp. So we'll start hearing some good stuff. So exciting time of the year. It is almost draft month. I actually have by the time you listen to this on Thursday, I will have done a dynasty rookie draft, which is always fun, puts things in perspective. So a little excited about that. I'm hoping I got the 1-4 and the 1-9 in that draft. I'm hoping that I can get, I think I'm going to go Jaden Daniels, and then we'll see who I get in that 9th pick. But all that good stuff. Remember, guys, head over to Trophy Smack, the dude's favorite place for fantasy football trophies. If you do not have your trophy yet, head over to Trophy Smack and tell them the dude sent you. Go to trophysmack.com/dudes, 15% off your whole entire order. So without that, guys, let's jump into these. I think we have about 5 players each that we're talking about that we are not wanting to draft. I'm going to try to timestamp these. They'll be on YouTube. Remember, give us a like, give us a sub, all that good stuff. Don't be rude. Share the dudes. And like I said, here's that nice little Lego cat that Seth worked really hard on. You might want to go head over to YouTube channel at tffdudes. Check out that nice little Lego masterpiece Seth built. All right. Jordan, I'm trying to think of how we want to start out with this. I'm going to be quarterbacking this thing since Phil is gone. Let me know if I do better than Phil. Let me know if I do worse than Phil. All that good stuff, whatever you guys want to do. So, Jordan, this is kind of a softball. We've kind of been talking about this one for a while here. I'm going to throw the first player over to you right now. What are you saying here, Jordan? You want to do this over here?
Yeah, so I kind of have mine really in order of like kind of guys who are getting drafted the highest, ADP towards the lowest, and these are all guys that I just don't really not that I don't like them at now. Some I just don't like in general, but some players I like, just not where they're being drafted. So my first one is Puka Nacua. We've kind of talked about this one a lot. I just don't like where he's being drafted. I'm never going to take Puka Nacua in the first round. I can't do it. There's other guys there. Like Garrett Wilson, I'm taking over Puka Nacua every single time. AJ Brown over him every single time. I think I even leave Marvin Harrison over Puka Nacua. So like,
wow,
I just think the value is just not good there. Cooper Kupp is rising in drafts, so I do think the value, like they are kind of coming a little bit back together, but it feels like Puka Nacua is staying the same and Cooper Kupp's just rising. But yeah, I don't like Puka. I mean, I like Puka as a player. I just never going to draft him where he's being drafted at.
Yeah. I did an underdog best ball draft today. He went 10th overall. He went one pick ahead of Garrett Wilson, followed by Jonathan Taylor. So really, Jordan, looking at this, I'm struggling at most guys in the second round. Like there's not a lot in that second round. It just seems like a weird dead zone in these drafts.
Second round is a tough spot to be in.
Where I almost feel like the second round, normally it's the third round. I feel like second round's kind of just a weird little, I can't quite describe it, but you got guys like Devontae Adams going there, which, he's really good. We don't know about the quarterback situation, stuff like that, like Jalen Waddle, guys like that. I'm not going to keep going. I don't want to give away any other names here, which none of those names aren't on our list. I'm going to hand this off to Seth here. Seth, who do you got?
I have Devon Achane. I know we've talked about this guy in the past, and I think Jordan was like the biggest, like non-advocate for them. Is just that backfield is so mixed, and also we don't understand really the health of this guy long term yet. Obviously, we know he's explosive, his workload. I think he got more than 10 carries. I think we said that it was like less than like 2 or 3 times or something like that, and that was only in like the 8 games he played, or 12. I'm not really sure how many games he played, but I'm just not sure of I'm unsure of the workload, but I'm also unsure of his health. So it's just a player that I'm going to avoid unless I can get him really late, which I don't think people are going to do. I think people are going to reach for him. I just don't want to be the one to reach for him, if that makes sense. It's just a player in the middle of the draft, maybe on the higher side, that I just don't want to grab. Just avoid altogether, I think.
All right. Stuff I'm seeing in best ball here. Devon Achane is going in second, third round. He went 26 overall in this draft. And there's a little bit of buzz about Raheem Mostert still, right? And Raheem Mostert he went in the 8th round. So 93rd overall. And is that equal value? I don't know. He's 32. So maybe we're just crazy with that, but did lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year. I think McDaniels is going to keep I think he's going to keep those guys fresh. I think McDaniels wants good, fast running backs. The Dolphins are a track team. So, yeah, I did a post on X. I said, I said ADP you don't like, right? And a lot of guys had Achane on that list. So I don't think you're alone. A lot of guys had Puka on there. So what I said was worst ADP in fantasy football, and just leaving it at that. And before we get into our next one here, I'm going to give you a quick message here from some of our sponsors, guys. Sleeper's a big sponsor of the pod, so go check out Sleeper. And here's a little, short little promo.
Dudes, we get it. Fantasy football is tough. From injuries, lineup decisions, stage fright at the draft. But what shouldn't be tough is the platform you play fantasy football on. Make the best and easiest fantasy football decision today. Text your commissioner right now and demand he takes your league over to Sleeper. From trading rookie draft picks, multi-team trades, a chat, and much more, Sleeper is the ultimate place to play fantasy football. And now Sleeper's offering picks with dynamic payouts, where you can win 100 times your money. They have multiple ways to play and easy research tools right there in the app, so you can make a good decision. Cheer together and watch your contest unfold in real time. All you gotta do is pick a player and choose an over-under. It's that easy, guys. The next easiest part is enter promo code DUDES100 and they will match you up to $100, guys. Come on, what are you waiting for? Take your league to the next level and have some more fun and win some cash along the way. Head over to Sleeper, guys. You won't regret it. I promise.
All right, guys. Thank you, Sleeper. Good sponsor of the pod. Dudes 100, match up $100, like I said there. I am going to say Rachaad White is a guy I'm not wanting to hit in these drafts. I think Chris Godwin's going to be a lot better. And we've kind of, like we've said, these are kind of repeats we've talked about future weeks, but there's just more of like just putting them all in one spot for you guys to find them. Go listen to this for a draft, stuff like that. But Rachaad White, I just don't think he's going to repeat with the numbers he had last year. His ADP isn't terrible. Like, he hasn't shot up the board. Like, guys who have shot up the boards since last year's, like Achane shot up the board. Kyron Williams just shot up the board. Isaiah Pacheco. But I'm just... It's hard to say Rachaad White because he's actually, maybe I just don't want him because I don't want to say his name because I struggle saying his name. But I think Godwin's going to be a lot better. They say he's looking a lot better in camp. So I'm going Rachaad White here. And I think the Bucs are even going to, I think they're going to fall back a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be what they were last year, which, like, you kind of the Travis Etienne speech talk, you said, Jordan, if the Bucs are losing, maybe Rachaad White is the best play. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's taking it serious, but yeah, I'm not going to be having a lot of Rachaad White in drafts this year. I don't know if there's anything you want to say on that, Jordan. Maybe the ADP is just too good for what you're getting him because he's probably going to be a second, third running back. I'm having trouble finding him on the Underdog best ball draft I did early today. But I'm going to give it back over to you, Jordan. This is kind of a one you've kind of done in the past, right? So want to ring this from the rooftops?
Yeah, it's kind of like on brand for me. Like, I just gotta have it every year.
The last 5 years.
Yeah, I think Derrick Henry. I'm never gonna draft Derrick Henry, and there's a couple of reasons. I think he's gonna have a good start to the year. He'll be fresh. I do worry about his touchdown equity with Lamar Jackson, but also, like, I like Keaton Mitchell when he comes back. So, like, guy's really explosive. They drafted Rasheen Ali out of Marshall. They have Justice Hill there, so they have guys behind him. Derrick, like I said, I think the Ravens will not use Derrick Henry like he's been used before. I think they're going to kind of keep the workload down. They're going to try to keep him fresh. They're going to split carries like they always do with guys. I feel like Harbaugh's really good at that, of just kind of managing people. Touchdown equity won't be like how it has been. So yeah, and then I'm just like, on principle, I won't draft him, but I think there's reasons not to draft him this year. Not the same type of workload, and not as much touchdown equity as there has been in the past with them.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, the touchdown line, like what Derrick Henry's going to do with touchdown opportunities. Like, I'm trying to look up his Underdog stats, what he has for the season right now. I don't know if Seth did this last year. His line's at 10.5. So
it's too high.
It's too high. You think he's under that? Would.
It's just, Trent, if it's 3rd and 1 at the 1, is it Lamar Jackson sneak or Derrick Henry handoff?
I think the first couple weeks, at least, it's going to be a Derrick Henry handoff. Now, after week 8, like, what is it? He puts $2 million into his body to stay healthy and stuff like that, he said this week. So, like, his ADP, like, what was he? He was like a first, second round guy last year. I'll just keep referring to the draft I did today. He went 3rd round. He picked 28 in the draft. So I think where he's going is still pretty good for a guy that's probably going to lead the Ravens in rushing touchdowns. Like, I'm going to look at Lamar Jackson's, and we argue this every year. It's kind of what we do. Lamar Jackson's rushing touchdown props 5.5. So Derrick Henry has a higher. Yeah, you think that's a smash?
Yeah, but look, Trent,
I don't
Derrick
think it's
Henry
a
has
smash necessarily though.
10, 13, and 12 rushing touchdowns the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
With Lamar Jackson's gonna get touchdowns. He's gonna have rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns. And like Derrick Henry's never had to compete with that before. Not to mention, like I said, the Ravens are gonna have the random Justice Hill touchdowns. Like,
Yeah, it's
they're
true.
gonna bring in other guys. Like, Titans didn't do that. They're not gonna bring in other guys at the goal line.
Yeah.
What has Lamar had the last few years?
I think it's around 5 touchdowns rushing.
I know. I don't have that. You pulling that up.
Last year, I think, was a down year.
Yeah, he didn't
but
rush for as many as last
it's
year.
normally around there. I think he just normally runs for more yards and scores less touchdowns than you think. I think the Ravens handed the ball off a lot more in the red zone for touchdowns, but were more scrambling wise and like QB runs. That was more middle of the field sort of things for him.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's like 7, 7, 2, 3, 5. So yeah.
So I think 5.5 line's pretty good. I mean, obviously that'll eat in Derrick Henry, right? Because all of Derrick Henry's quarterbacks didn't really run for touchdowns. But I mean, I maybe the 10.5 line's pretty good. But I think to your point though, Jordan, I don't think it's a guy I want on my team unless I can get him as my second running back. And I don't think he's going to be there for your second running back unless you take one really early.
So what I'm looking at is a best ball draft, right? He went in the 3rd round. I feel like best ball drafts are pretty accurate for kind of what the pulse of what everyone's doing over an Underdog. But your home leagues, what do we think Derrick Henry's going to go in a home league? You think he's to be going in the 2nd round?
I think he's going to be going lower in mine, but
okay. Like I don't, because there's the Derrick Henry truthers. It just takes one big Derrick Henry guy who's like had him a couple years and says like, hey, I'm going to get Derrick Henry. But let me ask you this question. Would you rather have Derrick Henry or would you rather have Devon Achane? Who would you rather
Henry.
have
Devon
there?
Achane.
Devon Achane.
I think I lean Henry there.
Like what's the Achane rushing prop? Do you have that pulled up, Seth? Like I have Underdog right here. I'm gonna search it right here for the season. And,
the reason is I think there's more upside with Achane.
Yeah, Achane is his line for rushing TDs is 7.5. Henry's is 10.5. And even hearing Achane that high makes me feel a little bit better about him.
But Achane also has receiving upside.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, 7.5.
All right. Jordan, what do you got here? Sorry.
You know where it would have Derrick Henry in the 5th is where I would take him.
Yeah. Okay. And that I don't know. I think he's gonna go up in drafts from here, Jordan. I don't think he's gonna go lower.
Henry's line in rushing is 1,000 yards compared to Achane's 750. Obviously, that's different with receiving.
I think the rushing yards is a worse number. Like, I think that's really high.
I think so.
Last year, Gus Edwards had 13 rushing touchdowns, but he only had 810 yards rushing. Lamar had more rushing yards than him.
Yeah, Henry is not going to be the whole workload. He's not the focal point. And that's my argument with you is I think the rushing touchdowns are still going to be there. I don't know if the yards are going to be there. Like, I think they're going to use him as like, and that's where maybe you're right, where you don't want to get him where it's going to be like a TD, like vulture almost. You know what I'm saying? Like short really yardage kind of guy.
Derrick Henry in the past has been a guy who's needed that 100 yards and a touchdown to get there. Like he needs that 100-yard bonus, like because even like the 60 yards and a touchdown, you're only looking at 12, which doesn't kill you, but it's not like it's like 80 yards and a touchdown's 14. Like doesn't kill you. It's good, but it's also you're not going to get in that 20s unless he's going over 100 yards or 2 touchdowns.
Okay, Jordan, what do you got next here? Or Seth, what do you have here? Sorry.
I have Joe Mixon. The main reason I'm just staying away from this guy, I think their offense is going to be good. Obviously, he's going to have rushing touchdowns. But I just don't think like the rushing yards is going to be there just because these guys are going to be throwing the ball. Like the Texans are going to be throwing the ball the whole season, and they're going to utilize the best part of their offense, and that's their quarterback and all their weapons they have receiving whether that's a tight end or receivers. And I think they're going to utilize just all those assets. And I think the running game is going to take a little bit of a step back, or not even a step back. It's going to take a back seat to the passing game. So it's just a guy I want to avoid just by precedent of what we saw last year and just what we know they're going to do this year.
So his line is 87.5 right now. 875.5. 875.5. That's higher than Devin Achane right now. Maybe the only reason where maybe Mixon does okay is maybe the Texans get up in games. Maybe they run the ball and he, eats up the clock.
Well,
I don't know if
think
they'd be him, though.
So they have Damian Pierce there, and then you guys saw they signed Cam Akers this week. And I think that's more of a thing than what maybe most people think. I mean, if Cam Akers can stay healthy, he's proven that he's a talented guy. He's an explosive guy. He's been good when given opportunities. If he's healthy, now I don't know when he'll be healthy, but if he's healthy, I think he could be a factor in that offense down the stretch. And Joe Mixon's a guy who I feel like he's getting worse. I don't know. Joe Mixon, I don't know. He always ends up with decent numbers over the course of the season.
It doesn't make sense.
But it doesn't make sense because on a week-to-week basis, I always feel like he's horrible. But I think there's 3 guys for rushing opportunities there. And like you said, an offense that's going to throw the ball a ton.
Yeah. So, usually if you have Joe Mixon, you're like not that happy you have him, but then you look back at the end of the year and you're like, that wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like your parents make you go. He's kind of like that birthday party your parents make you go to that you didn't want to really go to because it was like a weird kid. And it was like, it actually wasn't that bad, but it's like, but you're also 14 going to Chuck E. Cheese. So, it's just a totally different thing, but that's a whole nother story. But okay. What I got on the list here, I have Devonta Smith. He's still going. It seems like he's come back a little bit, but he's still, what is he? He's second, third round. Where is he? I'm looking for him right now. Sorry. Bear with me. Like, are you guys still feeling good about like Jalen Hurts throwing the ball and stuff like that? Like, I feel like Devonta Smith is also kind of a streaky guy. Yeah, Devonta Smith went to 212 in this draft. I did 24 overall. Would you rather have Cooper Kupp or Devonta Smith? Like,
Well,
I think I would rather have Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp in the second round?
Well, Cooper Kupp went 3-3, so he went 3 picks later.
Yeah, I actually think to speak of Cooper Kupp, I think I'm going to get priced out of Cooper Kupp too. I think that's the problem is that I think Cooper Kupp's going to get to a point where he might be on this list of just going too high up. But I actually disagree with you on Devonta Smith, Trent. Like you talked about how the round 2 is kind of a dead zone. Like I actually like Devonta in round 2. Like that's one of the guys that I actually like. I don't know. Okay. It just kind of you kind of get in that spot of where like Nico Collins or Devonta Smith. I'm taking Devonta Smith.
I would take Devonta over Nico Collins.
Why do you feel like you have that opinion?
I don't want to go a number 2 wide receiver. Like I don't think I just think AJ Brown's the alpha there. Like I think he's that much better than Devonta Smith. And look at how Jalen Hurts finished last season throwing the ball. Like I don't think you were very happy having Devonta Smith. Does someone have where Devonta Smith finished last season on their board? I'm pulling up something else for Devonta Smith.
In this best ball draft I did on another site today.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp went 34 overall, and Devonta Smith went 36 overall.
Okay, wow. So he's moving. I haven't had that happen yet.
Now that is a full PPR, full point PPR site, so that might play a little bit of a difference in there. Actually, I took Devonta Smith in the round 3 at 36 overall.
So he finished his wide receiver 19 last year, and he finished decently strong. He finished strong last year.
He finished higher the year before. That's because I think the Eagles were just better. I think he finished top 10 the year before, I want to say. But that, like I said, I think the Eagles were better. His line this year, though, Trent, what do you think his line's at? Devonta Smith.
I'm going to say 780, 850 receiving yards.
His line's
No
at
way it's that low.
it's at 1050.
1050.
Yeah, there's no way it's at 800.
Okay.
Trent,
Do you
if you-
think J-
I would Trent, I would literally give you, if you said the line at $850, I'd put 850 yards. I'd put my life savings down on that line, Trent, and just
Okay.
pray he doesn't
What-
get hurt.
What do you so you think
That'd be
Hurt
wild.
like what about Hurts? What's Hurts passing line at, Jordan? Like what do you have for Hurts?
It's got to be like 4,000.
Let's see here.
And Hurts played a little banged up last year towards
42
the end.
between 4
It's
and
at
42.
3675 for Hertz.
Really? That seems low.
Yeah,
I feel like people are kind of low on Hurts, and maybe that's why.
More.
Yeah, it's more of a Hurts thing than the Devonta Smith thing, Jordan. And maybe, like you said, maybe I'm just a Hurts hater. I'm wearing a Cowboys hat for goodness sakes on this pod. You know, probably gonna get some hate for that and going after Devonta
Yeah,
Smith.
no, I think I was just too high. He's thrown for 3,700 and 3,800 the last 2 years. So I mean, he's actually is increasing the amount of times he throws. Like he's in 21, he threw the ball 432 times, 460, and then 538 last year. Last year was by far the most he's ever thrown.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
their defense was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, they kind of had to.
Yeah, I mean, well, their secondary is absolutely not like their defense. Their front seven's always been good. They
Yeah,
did
their
beef up
secondary
their
was
secondary this year in the
They're-
draft.
They should be better. They should be better this year. But if their defense is better, he might throw less.
Yes.
But this is more of a So, but that's what I have there. All right, Jordan, your third player here. What are you going with a guy you are not drafting?
Yeah, I got Michael Pittman. And I know you might disagree with me on this one, Trent. I just know you're a fan of the Colts offense in general. You think every guy in the Colts is going to be a top 5 at their position. Just kidding.
You're not far off.
I don't know. I'm just not. I was a big Michael Pittman guy coming into the league. I liked him. I think his second year, after his rookie year, his second year. But I just don't like receivers with Anthony Richardson. I understand he's going to run and he's going to chuck the ball deep sometimes. And I don't know. I'm seeing him go like wide receiver 15, and I just don't love it. Like, if I can get like Devonta Smith or it's just, and he is in that dead zone a little bit, but like, yeah, I'm trying to see, like, he went in this best ball draft I did today. Pittman went ahead of Kupp and Devonta Smith. Like, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see him. I just don't see the value there, and I don't feel like he has a ton of upside either. Because is Richardson really going to throw the ball up and down the field? Like, what's his touchdown upside with Michael Pittman?
So Pittman in the one I did, Jordan, he went 4th round, second pick in the 4th round, 38 overall. He went ahead of Sam Laporta, George Pickens, Amari Cooper, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin.
I mean, Trent, this is Michael Pittman's touchdowns I'll say his last 3 years, not his rookie year. 6, 4, and 4.
Yeah.
Now he had his most yards receiving, but like he just doesn't score touchdowns.
Yeah, more of a PPR kind, right? More of a PPR guy. What's
I mean, he had
passing
109
TD
catches last year, but
yeah, what's Richardson's passing TD line? Like, that'd be interesting, and passing yards. So he's at 21 and a half passing TDs, 3,200 and a half passing yards. 7.5 rushing TDs is the line. Are you gonna be taking a lot of lower on Richardson lines, Jordan, for the season long, or no?
I don't know. It's just there's so much unknown with him. I think so. That's what I would prefer to do. But I don't know, not the rushing touchdown. I think the rushing touchdown line you'd be a brave soul to take an under on that. But
yeah.
I don't know. There's just so much unknown with Anthony Richardson.
Okay. I'm gonna throw it over to you here, Seth. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'll second the Anthony Richardson. I just don't trust him enough as a passer. This one, I think, I don't know, is necessarily maybe 2-1, but maybe I'm just doing it because I'm a Seahawks guy, and I know I was a JSN, hype rider last year. But I am not drafting Tyler Lockett. I did do it last year, and there are some times where I was pretty thankful I did. But this year, I really do think he's going to take a step back in this offense. JSN, I think, is going to become that number 2 guy. I think it's going to be kind of hard to dethrone DK just because of the athletic freak he is and just his presence on the field. But I do think Tyler Lockett does take a step back, and it's just a guy I just don't want to grab just because I do think he can fall out of like a top 40 wide receiver. And usually you don't want that guy on your team. So,
yeah. Lockett is at 4.5 receiving TDs this year.
Yeah. Which is extremely low compared to his recent years.
Yeah. Last year, he caught 5 TDs, finished as wide receiver 32. I don't know if it's more of a Tyler Lockett thing or if it's more of a Geno Smith thing. You would think that this is the year that maybe JSN finally replaces Tyler Lockett, but he always seems to just kind of be there, right? Has there been any talk about who's the backup for the Seahawks? They're still... Is Geno, they franchise tag him last year? They signed him to a contract.
Honestly, I think it's still no, I think they extended him for
Okay.
But as more of a team friendly deal, I think.
Yeah. Geno's at a 22.5 passing TD line. And
Not bad.
so yeah,
I'm not too excited about the Seahawks this year, but it should be fun.
It's funny you say that, Seth, because I was watching something the other day and someone was talking about how they really liked Seahawks offense this year.
I mean, I think I'm a little excited. I just kind of understand how San Francisco is, and like, it's just not going to be easy.
How's their defense going to be?
See, that's what makes me nervous. I actually think our offense is pretty talented. I think we just are missing like not a really good quarterback, just like something better than Geno quarterback.
Well, I was saying, if the team's no good, the defense is no good, the offense could still be pretty fancy friendly.
No, yeah, I think that's fine. Like, I think the player I would like to get as my number 2 wide receiver on a fantasy team is DK. Like, that'd be awesome.
I think you get him as a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, or a wide receiver 3. I even like.
We'll see how it pans out today. If you just went. Sorry, I just say if you just went wide receiver, you might be able to get DK in the 3rd round as your wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Underdog draft I did today, he went wide receiver 3. The guy went Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf. So
it's pretty decent, yeah. And if you can get a good running back in that 4th round,
yeah. What are you guys like? What's your guys' takes on like Jalen Waddle? You guys excited for him, or just like as long as Tyreek Hill's there, you really don't care?
He just had a down year last year. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
He's still going 2nd round a lot of places I'm seeing him. So maybe.
Well, you know what's interesting is they actually the Miami ran the ball a lot more than they did 2 years ago too.
Yeah. So that probably hurts Waddle.
Like, I think it's just, as soon as Tyreek's out of there, Jalen Waddle's a 1st round draft pick. I think it's just going to be hard to. I don't like him in the 2nd round. I think a 3rd round is okay for me. It's just I feel like I'm reaching if I'm taking him in 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a guy I don't want to draft though.
Okay. All right. Jordan, we can kind of tag team this next one here. I have Nico Collins.
Yeah, I was going to say it, but wide receivers. I just put it in too late. Yeah.
No. So I think this is fine. One thing that's funny is no one did a quarterback on this list. Maybe we should have done a quarterback. Quarterbacks are kind of tough because, like, what are you going to say? Are you going to say like, so it's just quarterbacks are tough to do.
There's more like quarterbacks that I want to target late more than like quarterbacks I don't want to draft. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's more quarterbacks that I'd rather target, but I'm kind of indifferent on most quarterbacks, like quarterbacks all about where you're getting them at.
Yeah. So you're against Texans wide receivers. That's who you have there. I have Nico Collins. I honestly don't mind the Texans receivers. I just don't like where Nico Collins is going, and maybe it's because they paid them the money. I'm a Tank Dell guy. Nico Collins went 17 overall in the draft I did. He went 2.5 in that draft, and second round, 17th overall. And I just feel like that's too early for a very crowded wide receiver room that we don't know who the guy really is. I like almost anyone else better than better than Nico Collins. Tank Dell went 32 overall. I'm looking for Stephon Diggs.
He had to win before that.
Let me see here. So, but yeah, if you want to talk about other Texans wide receivers, while I look at this, like, do you
in mine that I did, Trent, I
Uh-huh.
have Nico Collins went 17, Diggs went 31, and Tank Dell went 41. Like, here's my issue with all of them. I agree. If you made me choose one, if you told me you have to draft one of the three at where they're being drafted, I'm taking Tank Dell. But I'm not big on Diggs this year. But I can't. It's crazy to me where Nico Collins is being drafted. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And here's my issue with them all is that you're telling me that all three of those guys are going to be top 30 wide receivers or top 25 wide receivers because that's how they're being drafted. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you who's going to be the 1, the 2, and the 3. Tank Dell could be the one.
Well,
Diggs could
I'll
be the
say
one.
this. I'll say this. All of them are listed between like 800 to like 1,000 yards on Sleeper, and all of them have around like 4.5, 5.5, 6.5 touchdowns. So
They're just protecting themselves because they have no idea either.
yeah,
The books don't know either.
Underdog has no idea. They
Yeah,
have no idea. They think it's just
and you have Dalton Schultz there.
Yeah, they have
Mhm.
no clue. You know, like they're matching the yards based on like they're just splitting it up into 3 and then kind of going it down by hype buzz and just saying, hey, this is how many yards we think, you know, CJ Stroud's going to throw for us. So we got to split it up into 3 right here. So
Yeah. Who would you rather have? Okay. And we're just talking like ADP value. Would you rather have Joe Mixon or one of those 3 Texans wide receivers we just listed? I think I might take Tank Dell over Joe Mixon, but it's close. I think I'm leaning. I think I would lean. I think I'm going to take. I would take Tank Dell if I get CJ Stroud. That's the only thing I would say. If I don't get CJ Stroud, I think I would take Joe Mixon.
I'm gonna answer your question with a different player. I think Dalton Schultz is the best Texans value on the board.
Probably so. Yeah, probably so. That makes sense.
You get a piece of
he's going late.
You get a piece of that passing offense pretty late too. Like wide receiver, I mean tight end like 11, 12, like pretty late in drafts. And he was the guy. And I think he's going to get – and you don't have to worry about him competing for playing time in his position, competing for targets at his position. Yes, he's competing for targets with other guys. But I think Dalton Schultz is the best value on the board in the Texans offense.
I will say Underdog has him though at 550 and 3.5.
So, but he's still going to be a tight end 1. Like he's going to be a top 10 tight end, right? Like who would you rather have here? Would you rather have Dalton Schultz or would you rather have what's his name? David Njoku. Who would you rather have? Dalton Schultz or David Njoku? Fantasy football this season.
I think Schultz.
Probably it's close.
Because you don't know what you're getting with Deshaun Watson. Like Njoku was a league winner last year. Fantasy playoffs, the guy went off. He went absolute bananas, but he had Joe Flacco throwing him the ball. So we don't really know. Like, I was kind of shocked at how early Njoku went in the draft I did today. But where did he go? Sorry. He went in the 9th round. David Njoku went in the 9th round. He went after Brock Bowers, after Jake Ferguson, after Evan Ingram. He went before Dallas Goedert and Dalton Schultz. So David Njoku went in the 9th round. Dalton Schultz went in the 11th round, last pick of the 11th round.
David Njoku 725, 5.5.
Okay. So
yeah, I think the target share for Njoku is a little more safer than Schultz. But yeah, I like Schultz as Texans. Yeah, I like Schultz as kind of the best value in that offense from a raw numbers standpoint. Like, just kind of, I think I prefer Tank Dell. Tank Dell is my favorite of the 3. wide receivers for sure.
Yeah, I think maybe just like raw young talent. I think that's probably the safest like dart throw.
I just have zero. I have no idea what to expect from Diggs. I think Collins had a good year last year. I'm very skeptical he can do that again.
Yeah, and Diggs might be one of those guys that is on fire the first 5 games. He might be someone that maybe you can sell. You might be able to get a lot for him. Like, he had a good season last year. He just didn't finish strong. Like, and maybe Diggs is the type of guy that he has one more good year. He just seems to burn bridges. Like, he starts really good and he can't just finish somewhere, right? Like, so I think Diggs is going to have, I think Diggs will be okay. I think he'll start out, I think he'll do at least half of the season. He'll be really good. He just gets kind of upset at times and, kind of blows things. He's a diva, right? So, yeah. Seth, what do you got right here? What do you got next?
I have Chargers running backs. Okay. Now, I feel like we just completely just grabbed the Ravens running backs and threw them over to the Chargers now because we got Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Kamani Vidal, and Isaiah Spiller. Spiller is, I guess, the only one that's still there. Or did he come from?
Is Vidal a
somewhere
rookie?
else?
Yeah, he's a
Where's
rookie.
Vidal?
I think so.
He's a rookie. Yeah, Vidal's
Out
a rookie.
Yeah, so-
I can't remember. Troy.
Anyways,
Troy.
Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, both guys who just have extensive like injury history, and it's just something I'm not looking forward to. I feel like the Chargers always underutilize their running backs. I know what's his face had a good year 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I just don't.
It is a different coach though, Seth.
I know. I'm just skeptical. I don't know. I just feel like every time I've had a Chargers running back, I've regretted it, except the one year I had Eckler. And I felt
it's almost like Jim Harbaugh called up his brother and said, Jim called up his brother and said, "Hey, I don't want these guys anymore, but I think you'll love them." And it's like they just traded he just handed over running backs to the other brother.
It's literally what happened.
It's almost how NFL coaches protect each other. Like, you fire one, then they go hire another one. Same with college coaches. Like, it's like, should this guy be fired? But he keeps finding different jobs. It's like the Harbaughs now have like these, I don't know what you would call them, like Eskimo running backs or something they just like share with each other.
It's like when you get fired from a job, but they're like, "Hey, but I will recommend you to I'll give you the most glowing recommendation to your next employer." And it's like Harbaugh went and said, "Hey guys, we don't have room for you anymore. We're signing Derrick Henry, but I will give you a glowing recommendation to my brother in Los Angeles.
My brother will love you." No, and like maybe it's just like, "Hey, you want to do like." The whole brother thing is just so weird. Like, how much are these guys talking? Like, "Oh, you would love this guy. You would love him." Like bring your lunch pail to work type of running back. "Oh, you want those types? I have 3 of them." Like I don't know. The whole thing. I do think one of these Chargers running backs is going to be good, Seth. I just don't know
one of
which
them's
one.
going to get hurt, Trent.
Yeah, I don't know which one it's going to be. The only reason I'm slightly disagreeing with you and why I think I'll draft Chargers running backs is because the ADP is just so good that I think they're worth taking dart throws. That's the only reason. But I agree with you, but that's my disagreement. It's like the ADP.
A bench like stash.
Yeah, for a potential starting running back, yeah, I think it's a bench stash. For a guy
Which one's your favorite, Trent?
I think I'd rather just have like Zamir White though.
Maybe, but he
says the ADP on those guys are way different. Like J.K. Dobbins is going like crazy late in drafts. I think Vidal's the highest. It's probably Edwards getting drafted the highest, then Vidal, then J.K. Who's your favorite, Trent?
I think I like Vidal the most because he's the most unknown. I love J.K. Dobbins. Always been a J.K. Dobbins guy. But I've never I draft him all the time. Does he ever finish my season?
Well,
no.
I'll tell you right now, Trent. This is the year 2 draft.
I need to release him. Yeah.
No, you got to go back to the well because this is the latest you've ever drafted him. It doesn't matter. Like, where are you getting J.K. Dobbins now? It doesn't matter if he's good or not.
But it's Achilles and running back, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Are Achilles the new like ACLs? Like everybody's getting them hurt and everybody's coming back. So I don't know. Maybe who knows? But yeah. So that's who I
He's
have
got to go
there.
into a darkness retreat, and you'll be good.
Exactly. All right. What I got here, and this one I feel like I don't know. Like he's still going decently high. I try not to. I always have a rookie wide receiver I kind of stay away from. I have one. I'm going Xavier Worthy. I know this isn't a popular pick. I know he's making big plays at practice. He's a burner. But here's what his ADP I think is actually going to go down. And I think it's because the Chiefs announced yesterday that they haven't heard anything about a Rashee Rice suspension. So I think Rashee Rice is going to play this year, is what it's looking like right now. They can, as long as Rashee Rice is suited up, I'm not drafting Xavier Worthy. I think that Xavier Worthy is going to be the number 3 in that offense, behind Marquise Hollywood Brown and behind Rashee Rice. The only thing is, who's number 4?
You're saying
Yeah,
so it'll be
behind
number
Kelsey,
4.
Yeah, behind Kelsey. Yeah. So I'm staying away from Xavier Worthy. I know he broke the combine record, and I know he's making big catches at practice, but I think he's going to be number 4. And hey, it's probably worth taking Mahomes' number 4 dart throw, but I still think, people are getting wrapped up in the whole combine stuff and all that. And not to say I'm not targeting him in Dynasty. I'm just not drafting him this year. You heard my whole spiel about rookie wide receivers last week. But I do think Worthy's going at a good spot in drafts. But I think he's number 4. And I don't know are you willing to take a number 4 on a good offense, Jordan, or a number 1 on an okay offense, or a number 2 on an okay offense? I guess is what
I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes, an explosive, fast receiver in a Patrick Mahomes offense. You can sign me up. And I think where he's going is very reasonable.
Yeah. I just think with all this stuff we're going to see on all these highlights of Patrick Mahomes chucking 60-yard bombs, rolling out to his left to Xavier Worthy and stuff like this, I still think that he is going to be the number 4 behind all those guys, but it's probably still, okay value how it's working out. And yeah, so that's why I have Worthy there. I knew that wasn't going to be a popular one. And even if Phil was here, it'd be even less popular because Phil acts like he's alumni of the University of Texas. So, Jordan, I'll throw this over to you.
Yeah, I got Calvin Ridley as my last guy.
This hurts. This hurts you.
Yeah, I
just
don't like where he's going is okay, but I don't really want, to your point here. I'll answer your question, Trent. Do I want the number 2 in a Will Levis offense, or do I want the number 3, maybe the possible 3 in a Patrick Mahomes offense? I want the 3 or the 4. I don't know, man. This Titans team, I don't feel great about. I like Calvin Ridley as a talented player, but just don't like where he's going. Just don't like that offense, and he's the number 2 behind Hopkins there.
And I don't know, did you see Will Levis, first guy to practice today? His car was in the parking garage pretty early.
Good job. He's the quarterback. He should be.
All right. What about Bryce Young showing up? He looked like a third grader's first day of school. He had like a t-shirt and khaki shorts on, but that's probably how I would go to practice. So I can't hate on it that much. You know what I'm saying?
Like go in his Crocs.
Exactly. Yeah. Bryce Young's probably a Croc guy. You know what I mean? They probably make you a little taller. Seth, what do you got next here?
I have Steelers wide receivers. So the Steelers do have a little different roster now. They still have Pickens. They have Van Jefferson. They drafted Roman Wilson. They still have Calvin Austin, Quez Watkins, Scotty Miller, new additions, Pat Freiermuth, obviously. But when you have Russell Wilson at the helm of your offense, I am not touching it. I don't care who you are. Okay. I don't care. George Pickens, I think, is good, but I ain't going to draft him. I ain't going to draft him until they get a good quarterback in Pittsburgh, or he goes to a team where they have a good quarterback. I don't care that this guy can go up and get some. The consistency is not going to be there in a receiver that I want. And when I draft a receiver, you want consistency. And I just don't think it's going to be consistent enough when Russell Wilson's the quarterback. So maybe Russell Wilson should be my guy I'm not drafting, but it probably should be just anyone on the Steelers, like wide
Pickens,
receivers.
Pickens and Ridley burned me so bad last year, both of them. I had them.
Like I want to pick Pickens so bad, and I think some guys take waivers on him, but I think they end up regretting it, because it's just like, it's not, when you have a bad quarterback, it's just not fun having a good receiver who would be good with a different guy.
Here's the thing. I'm not like totally like sold out on like Russell Wilson being bad like you guys are. But the problem is last year, I think he threw the ball more because the Broncos weren't as good. I feel like the Steelers are going to be in contention and like playing close games. Like Tomlin's never finished below 500. Like I think their defense is going to be good. I think they're going to run the ball. I think it's going to be close games. I don't think it's going to just be bombs over Baghdad for Russell Wilson this year where he's throwing the ball, 30 times a game. I think it's going to be a more balanced offense, and it's Arthur Smith, so we don't really know what he's going to do, right? So but I don't think he's be airing it out like he is. I don't think they're going to be playing from behind like they did last year. So that's where I'm kind of pulling the reins back on Russell Wilson. Like, because even if you think Russell Wilson's still good, I don't think the pass attempts are going to be there like they were last year. So that'd be my Russell Wilson argument, and why maybe I'm like, I got burned bad by Pickens last year. Like I kept him in a league in like the 10th round, and I could have kept someone else that had been a lot better.
So you're going to draft him?
I'm not going to draft him. I don't think I'm going to draft him. I don't think so. Like he showed some crazy plays. He's shown some glimpses where he could be really good. It's kind of one of those guys, you just got to get the ball in the vicinity and he can make a really big play. Who was the Broncos' best wide receiver last year with Russell Wilson?
Sutton.
Was it Mims? Sutton? Okay.
Sutton.
Yeah, and Judy's on the Browns. I keep forgetting Jerry Judy's a Brown, but he's kind of been like not really what we thought he was going to be. All right. Finishing out the show, just because, Jordan doesn't like it, I'm going to go with Austin Eckler. I know Jordan's, just scooping him up in all these best ball drafts, scooping him up in all these mock drafts, all that stuff. I'm putting Austin Eckler on there, and I just with on the brand.
He's starting to go a little bit higher, Trent.
Is he coming up? Yeah.
It's starting to go a little bit higher.
There's some buzz about him on X and stuff. Like people are, preaching about how good Austin Eckler is going to be. Makes me not feel as good about it, but I'm not going to go after him. I'm going to stay away.
He was too low. He was too low 2 weeks ago in his ADP.
Like, where did he go in your league today? And Seth, read his.
He went round 9. He went 999 overall. Okay,
so he's shot up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and his ADP is 102. So like, shoot, when we did those mock drafts, Trent, he was in the 11, 12. Like,
he's 399 for rushing and 399 for receiving.
So he went up a little bit. Was he 350 on receiving last time we did this? I feel like
I think it was 350. So he's gone up 50 yards in both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being a pretty popular like value running back guy.
You think 7th, 6th round, Jordan?
Do they have him?
I think he'll settle like in that 7th, 8th
behind Robinson.
I think he's ahead of Robinson.
He's ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know if Robinson's like with the new coach. I don't know how well Robinson will do.
That's true. That's true. And then you saw what's his name, their old coach, Riverboat Ron, say that he would have drafted Jaden Daniels number 2. He was already watching film on him. That's always interesting stuff to see after.
I think for what it's worth, Trent, I think also like I'm just high on this Commanders offense in general. I really like Terry McLaurin. I put that out on X this week. Are you drafting Terry McLaurin in fantasy football? And it's like, it's very mixed. Like people are like, yes. And then there's people that are just like, he's burned me too many times. Like I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy.
So anyways, that
Luke
just
McCaffrey's
to recap
on the team too.
Dude, I'm a big Luke McCaffrey guy too. He's starting to go a little. He's going to be someone I target.
He's listed as wide receiver 3 right now.
But man, like Jahan Dotson, I'm still waiting for that breakout. I had like a team with like Jahan Dotson, George Pickens, and Calvin Ridley, and it was like the all bust team. Like it was terrible. Like just the absolute off-season hype team. So just to recap our list here, I had Rachaad White, Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, Xavier Worthy, Austin Eckler. Seth had Devin Achane, Joe Mixon, Tyler Lockett, Chargers running backs, Pittsburgh wide receivers. Jordan had Puka Nacua, Derrick Henry, Michael Pittman, Houston receivers, and Calvin Ridley. That is all that we had on our players we are not going to draft. Let's hop into divas. You guys have any divas here? You guys want to say guys like do you want to say Phil for not being here? Do you want to say Phil for not being able to lift a barbecue in the back of his truck? Should we let Phil tell that story, or
Honestly,
do we want to just tell it?
Can that even wait?
I don't know if it can wait, man. Like, I feel like the world needs to know.
Maybe we should tell our side of the story, and then he can tell his.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, I'll share it right here, so everybody knows Phil has a bad back. And actually keep Phil in your prayers because
He's had like a bad back for like 3 years, by the way.
Yes,
So at some point it's got to heal because the guy only walks and sits in a chair.
So should we let him defend himself though? Like, I feel kind of
Yeah,
bad.
just wait on the story.
We'll wait. Okay. So there's a little teaser for you. There's a little teaser for you. He might just say no though. He might just be like, he might just not come back on the pod if he knows that's what we're going to do.
Then.
Okay, here's my diva of the week. Okay, and I gotta go after one of my favorite apps here, guys. This was heartbreaking. It was wrong. And sometimes on your way to work, you listen to podcasts. I usually listen to podcasts. This was a day where I got a phone call in the morning and I just said, hey, I'm going to play music because I'm going to get like 5 minutes. It's not worth, I have a 15-minute commute as it is. So a 5-minute pod's not always that great. So it's 6:57 in the morning and Spotify decides it's a good time to play the song Closing Time. Absolutely terrible timing. Everybody knows that's a song you play at the end of the day, and it just gets you in the mood to shut down shop, closing time. And so to go into work singing Closing Time the rest of the day, not cool, Spotify. Don't do me like that. So I got to go just Spotify not knowing the playlist good enough. So, just there's nothing better than like Spotify picking the right songs, but there's nothing worse than starting your day off listening to Closing Time. Seth,
why is that not in the AI generated?
AI generated should know, do not play this song before lunch.
Take into account where you're at and what time it is.
Exactly. Seth, what do you got?
Honestly, I don't really know if I have any divas. Like, maybe I just sound like a complete loser for complaining how hot it is, but I just...
Was it 115 today?
I don't know, man. Every time I go outside, I'm like outside for like 5 minutes and I'm like sweating so bad. It's just not even fun.
Yeah, it's so hot. It's so hot.
I'm like in an office now. So like when I go outside, I'm like not used to it. I'm like, it's like, the guy on what's that baseball movie? What is it? Why am I blanking on it?
Flubber.
No.
Sandlot.
No.
Wild Thing.
I don't know.
Oh no, it's Benchwarmers. It's Benchwarmers. His brother
Yeah,
Howie.
The guy who doesn't have to go outside.
Yeah, you're afraid of the sun.
Yeah, he's afraid of the sun. That's
Yeah.
how I feel, man. I like go outside and I'm like,
yeah, he just wants to get into his peanut brittle castle he made.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I go outside for like 10 minutes, and I'm wearing, my college shirt for an office, and I'm just sweating profusely, and I just go back inside and I'm like, that was terrible.
It's bad. Okay, Jordan, what do you got? You got Seth for charging you too much for the Xbox. What are you thinking?
No, I mean the only diva that I have that's really made me mad is Sunday morning. I was watching the F1 race. I texted this. I don't know how much you guys have watched the F1 race or how many people
Those are
watch
planes,
F1.
Right? F-16s. I've heard of that.
I kept live betting the one guy because he was in front. And so, like, long story short, his teammate, Lando Norris's teammate, was winning. They pit Lando Norris first. He got out in front of his teammate, and he ended up getting like a 5-second lead. And so, like, 5-second lead with like 6, 7 laps left. his team on the control keeps telling him, "Hey, you need to let him pass you. It's the right thing to do for your team. We want him to get his first win. Blah blah blah." Lando Norris like the second best driver in F1, so like arguably the best right now. And like, but the books kept leaving them like plus money, and so I just kept hammering him. Like 2 laps left, he literally pulls over and lets his teammate pass.
Oh, what kind of communist soccer sport are you watching?
This is professional
that
sport.
Sounds like a joke.
Like F1. Like what is this? Who lets someone else just pull over and let someone else? I don't care if it's your teammate. Like
I will never.
Yeah, I was very irritated,
as
you can imagine. But like, come on, like what are we doing in professional sports here? Like
that's bad. That stage.
It's like
that
watching
means the
Talladega
pit crew
Nights.
probably had him not to win.
Yeah, I don't know. It was bizarre. Like I just couldn't believe like the radio. They kept saying like, "Hey, you need to do it." I couldn't believe he actually did it with 2 laps left. And you could tell that he was not happy after the race. Oh, he was mad.
Why did he do it then?
That is the most un-American sport I've ever heard of. That's almost bad.
Yeah.
It's almost worse than soccer celebrating.
Get
ties.
better. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what he said one time. They said that you're increasing the lead too much. He's never going to be able to pass you. And he said, "Well, tell him to catch up." So he fine, but then he actually let him go.
Yeah. Man,
that's crazy.
So Lando Calrissian did that.
Lando Norris. Lando Norris.
Okay.
I got your joke. Got your joke.
Okay. Lando Calrissian. Okay.
Calrissian.
All right. Calrissian. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Get your dragon sword, all that stuff, you nerd. Okay, guys. Well, we will have a best ball draft committee on Monday. You won't want to miss that. We will see you next time, guys. And as always, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.